retreat.
Admit that as a monk, it's actually quite touching to hear someone speak about, the Buddha's teachings and the practice as, such a public figure, as speak about the teachings in such a powerful way. And I'm curious, you're speaking about the moment of learning to put down stories.
Mm-hmm.
And Goenka, has been so skillful in framing the teachings in a way that's quite palatable to a modern secular audience,
Yeah.
as a putting down a story so that you can see them more clearly. But as you do step deeper into kind of this world, you realize there is another story. The Buddha and the Pali Canon and the teachings as a whole ecosystem and landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what's your relationship like with that kind of that vista of the Pali Canon and Buddhism beyond just, say, the meditation retreat itself? How has that evolved? And would you characterize yourself as a Buddhist, actually?
I don't think so. I mean, I know from my day job as a historian how traditions and religions develop over centuries and thousands of years, how they accumulate this layer upon layer of stories and sometimes mythologies and traditions and rituals, and it becomes so difficult to know what is the what was really the original teaching and what was added later. People always project back so many things. For me, what made it easy to say coexist with all the stories and mythologies and rituals is again this emphasis that maybe comes from Goenka and maybe is not part of the tradition, but this is how I got acquainted with the tradition, on the reality of the present moment. What is the reality? What is actually happening? And the idea that just believing a story, just believing a theory won't help you. It could be true or it could be false. Even if you believe a true story, simply believing it changes nothing. And I remember in several of the instructions that Goenka again repeatedly said, every ditti is miccha ditti. Every belief, every view is wrong view. That if you just hold on to the view, oh, I believe in this, so this means I'm a good person and such wonderful things will happen to me just because I believe in this story, then you haven't understood anything. At least this is the way that he put it. And this is still my basic attitude. That it's less, in contrast to, say, monotheistic traditions, especially Christianity and Islam, which place enormous emphasis on faith, that ultimately redemption, salvation depends on believing the right thing. And in Christianity, at least in Orthodox and Catholic Christianity, you had entire committees of theologians and church leaders sitting together and cobbling and creating this credo, this very complex formula that you have to believe this exact formula. Entire wars were fought in Christian religion about one word in this formula. Like, you have the Trinity, you have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. What is the relation between them? Are there different persons? Are there three aspects of the same person? Do they have the same essence? So many philosophical discussions that most people don't understand. But you have the idea that if I only say that I believe in the right formula, this will save me forever. And for me, this makes no sense. One of the things I liked about Buddhism is that belief to some extent is of course important. If you don't believe that going to a meditation retreat will help you in some way, you won't go there. But the belief in itself doesn't do anything for you. It's your ability to actually observe the reality without reaction, without judgment, to just see things as they are. This is what liberates.